Mr Speaker. I ask the Leader of the House to move amendments 1 to 4 as circulated in my name together.
Is leave granted? Leave is granted. Give the call to member Petrie.
I move amendments 1 to 4 as circulated in my name together. Mr Speaker, I move the detailed amendments as circulated in my name. This amendment omits Schedules 1 to 3 from the Treasury Laws Amendment, Better Targeted Superannuation Concessions and Other Members Bill 2023. These schedules would impose the new Divisional 296 tax on superannuation accounts. We are moving these amendments to hold the government to account. To everyone that's going to be affected by these changes throughout Australia, we are moving these amendments for you, because this, pure and simple, is a broken promise. The Albanese Labor government said they would not be changing super. There would be no changes, is what they promised. Now, this is a major change, particularly for people that have higher balances, because the tax is doubling. Okay? That is a major change if you are doubling the tax and you said before the election that there wouldn't be major changes. But now they're doubling the tax. That is a major change. This new super tax sends a message that the Albanese Labor government wants Australians to pay more, or some Australians to pay more. And this is at a time when Australians are struggling under persistent inflation, a GDP per capita recession and a record increase in interest rates and soaring energy prices. Now, the government's proposals 1 to 3 has three key flaws. One, as I said before, it is a broken promise, and it comes on the back of not just no changes to super, but no changes at all to stage 3 income tax cuts that also affected this group of people considerably. I'd say that. 2, it isn't indexed. Yeah, it isn't indexed. And I heard the member for North Sydney, and look, I don't control the tactics here, but I'm just saying that I actually was giving you a few here's, but this means that young Australians will pay more. Analysis from the Treasury has shown that a 20-year-old today, earning the average wage of their lifetime, will pay higher taxes under this scheme, meaning up to 2 million Australians could be captured by the time they retire. Now, the minister opposite said, well, it's only on high balances, but the reality is that this will impact a lot of Australians. The minister opposite was saying that the average balance is 150 to 200k at the moment or now, but in the future, of course, we know that $3 million when someone retires in 45 years' time is going to be worth a lot less than what it is today. A lot less. And it shouldn't be up to future governments to make all these changes. The government and the minister, whether it's this minister or any other minister in the Albanese government, deserve to get this legislation right. It shouldn't be up to future governments. And I'll accept that not every government puts in policy that we always agree with. I mean, the minister opposite mentioned before about Divisional 293, once again not indexed. It probably should have been. It's wrong, because at the end of the day, he'll be getting less in his super account than what a backbencher will be right now, because he's taxed at 30% rather than 15%. The other thing is that this taxes unrealised capital gains. Now, I know the member for Wentworth mentioned this, and it's true. It means that retirees, superannuations, farmers, small and family business owners will be hit the hardest and may have to sell assets, all because there's been a capital gain. Now, if I went to anyone in Australia, people in the gallery or anyone else, regardless of what they earn, and say, do you think that there should be a tax on unrealised capital gains? If I said to people in the gallery, you bought a house for $500,000, it's now worth $800,000, you haven't sold it yet, but the government wants tax on $300,000 because that's your capital gain, that is what this Albanese government is doing in this bill to Australians right now, and we oppose it in the coalition. Now, I'd ask people that are listening and around the place, is that a major change to super? I think it is. I think it is. And anyone worth their salt, I mean, we oppose the whole bill. The Leader of the Opposition has said that based on what the government said. But I can tell you two things, even when I talk to people that are affected by this. Unrealised capital gains is wrong. It needs to be indexed. And of course, the 30% doubling of the taxation is a big issue. And the reality is that the minister spoke about before, saying that, well, you know, people will have the pension. Well, the reality is that we want people to save in their retirement so that they are self-funded.
Order the member for Petries' time. Amendments be agreed to, and I call the Shadow Minister.
Yeah, look, thanks, Deputy Speaker. I hear the minister opposite. There was a whole lot of information there that probably wasn't relevant to the bill. I'll keep in mind in relation to debt that when I was elected in 2013, the country was $300 billion in debt, thanks to the Rudd-Gillard-Rudd years. So this line, like, oh, it's coalition debt, well, that's a fact. And I wish you were investing in defence, because defence industry around the country tell me that you're not. We support super. The coalition always supports super. We supported the pay parental leave scheme as well. But the minister opposite says, well, this strengthens super. How does this strengthen super when you're taxing more? Whether it's 0.5% or not, this is a doubling of taxation. You know, it's not indexed, and it's unrealised capital gains, as I explained before. So how does doubling the rate support super? And shouldn't we be celebrating people that have actually put money away for retirement, because it takes people off welfare? The system there, the aged care pension, is there for people that need it, and for people with a small amount of super and are on a part pension. That's good. But why would we attack anyone that's completely self-funded or put money away? And the reality is that people on high incomes, particularly in the electorates of some of the independents that have spoken, not so much in my electorate, but some in my electorate, I must say, the reality is that money won't be going into the system like it was previously, because most of the people that have very, very high incomes in super was at a time when the Howard government was around and the Keating government was around, and there was pretty well unlimited amounts of super that could be put in. As I mentioned before, you're now capped at $25,000 last year, and I think this year it's $27,500. You're capped at what you can actually put in. And once you've got, I think, over $500,000, you can't catch up on previous years anyway. So $27,500 a year is not a lot, particularly if people are wanting to buy a home and pay off their home, which is harder for young people now, with people studying longer. So now people don't finish studying until they're 25 or 24. They're getting married later, so you know they're probably enjoying life a little bit, getting married a little bit later. Then they're buying a home. And so by the time they think about salary sacrificing and putting into super, they might be 40 years of age. And by then they might have $500,000, but under the changes that this parliament has made in the time that I've been here, and what this government's doing, is you can only put $27,500 in a year if you got over $500,000. And now they're, you know, if you do get up there and manage to save, they're doubling the rate. And let's say you get lucky and you actually buy a property or something, and particularly in a self-managed super fund, like you were saying, and that property triples. It's not like you've got any more cash flow, but this government will make you sell the property to pay them the tax because of their unrealised capital gains. Now, that is wrong. And the minister can hardly stand up here with a straight face and say that this bill, the Treasury Laws Amendment Better Targeted Super Concession Bill, is strengthening super, because it's not. It's not strengthening super, and it's not better targeted. It's targeted at people that they think won't vote for them, that they think will vote Teal or they think will vote Liberal or National. That's the reality. And what we should be doing as parliamentarians is looking after all Australians and being honest and keeping our word. If the Prime Minister says before the election, when there's no changes to super, how can they come in here with a straight face and make all these changes, particularly around unrealised capital gains, that's never been done before in this country? I mean, even the Greens might even support this one. I don't know. Maybe they won't. Maybe I'm going a bit too far, but might be a long bow, okay? But the reality is that this is wrong, and it doesn't matter how much the minister gets up. It's not the right thing to do. You weren't honest with the Australian people before the last election, and we're going to put it on record. That's all. Thank you.